Good morning and welcome to our online gathering. I appreciate your participation. I appreciate your joining us, our regular Silversiders, as well as some new friends who have been joining us through the weeks since we have been observing social distancing. And let me say that inasmuch as some people are going stir crazy in their respective quarantine situations, rushing to get back to normal again isn't going to convince the virus to stop killing people. So it's very important that we be realistic about the value of human life over everything else. I'm glad you're well enough to be here today, and I hope you stay that way. Let's all do everything we can to protect ourselves and others. And let's do what we can to address the ridiculous attitudes of politicians who think that the loss of life really doesn't matter. Now, having said that, let's move ahead to our spirituality thought for today. And I want to start with the fact that those of us who consider ourselves intellectual, somewhat intellectual, left brain leaning to some extent, appreciate facts, details, the opportunity to understand why things are the way they are. And often we convince ourselves, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, but often we convince ourselves that if we just understand why things are the way they are, why something is the way it is, we can make peace with it. That isn't always the case. Maybe for the kinds of people I just described, it more often is the case than not. I don't know. But I know that those of us who are inclined to want facts spend a great deal of time trying to find out answers, sometimes to questions for which there are no answers, or sometimes for answers that end up not satisfying, and therefore not getting us where we need to be. And what I'm suggesting this morning is that there's more to our deeper searches, and there's more to life's deeper longings than understanding. I'm not suggesting that we stop our searches, and I'm not suggesting that understanding and intellectual investigation are unimportant. They're vitally important. The solution to the coronavirus pandemic rests with those who are intellectually gifted. But in the depths of our beings, if we're trying to figure out why this kind of thing could happen and why it continues and why good people are being attacked by this, and why the responses are so slow, I think those kinds of answers are a long time coming and will not give us a whole lot of comfort once we're able to get some sort of solid answers. Jumping now to the book of Philippians, chapter 4 and verse 7. Paul is coming to a close now in this letter that he wrote to the Christians in Philippi, when he says, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding," so many important words in these this small section of his letter. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Peace, the word is Irene, the basis for the name Irene or Irene. Very close relationship to the word shalom, meaning peace within and peace without. And the peace of God, the peace that comes from being connected to God, which is the most natural thing in the world as long as we don't close ourselves off from the presence of God, which is already within us. The peace of God, which surpasses, towers over in every imaginable way the finest reasoning we can do. It overshadows the finest reasoning we can do. This peace of God that towers over understanding, reasoning, our best reasoning. Paul tells the Philippians, will keep your hearts. No concept that was related to the physical organ in the context it's used here. It's saying your capacity to be a spiritual being. Heart in this context refers to your capacity to be a spiritual being, and your minds, your capacity to be a reasoning being. So it is the peace of God, the shalom of God, that surpasses our finest reasoning, our best investigations in the face of complexity and challenge, that surpasses whatever discovery we make. Satisfactory, semi-satisfactory, unsatisfactory. The shalom of God within us keeps us intact as spiritual beings, as reasoning beings, regardless of what life throws at us. And that's not a shallow, simplistic write-off to just sort of stand up and take whatever life throws our way. In the coming days, I hope you lean more and more into the peace of God.